If you are struggling with being a person, feeling like you're enough, or feeling like something's wrong with you, or just that you are not good, this video is for you. Because today we are going to talk about overcoming self hatred. And this may even be beneficial for other people that may not be struggling with this, but know somebody who does. And I have some notes on this subject. And this is a conversation. And I really just felt that now is the time to create this video and not to hesitate on this idea because I have so much to say. Frankly, I could make this whole video a long list of stories of reflections of me hating myself, and that's not the point. And self-hatred, it can take on many forms, whether they're very overt in your face or very obscure and hard to pin down. So as I go through some of my talking points, I just want this to be a conversation, and I'm going to break down what is self-hatred, how does it originate, where does this come from, how can you see this, and how can you overcome this. And I hope this video empowers somebody today. So the word self-hatred, first we have to talk about self, then we have to talk about hatred. So what is the self? What is the I? That's you. Pronouns, hell yeah, man. You know who you are. At least you have a concept of it. Every person has their body, their name. There's many possessions that you may attach to your beingness. So it's worth noting that people exist on physical levels in the solid world. We exist in the emotional level, the mental level, in the spiritual level. Beingness is somewhat hard to quantify and grab, but the concept of self is super important because each person has experience that's individual and unique to them within their experience. So this leads us to what self is. And for our conversation today, it's so important to point out that self-concept exists. And what this frankly means is not genuinely who you are, but who you perceive yourself to be. That's self-concept. So just make a note that that exists, your self-concept. Self-concept is something that each and every one of us has a relationship with. And this relationship will guide, dictate, and alter so many parts of our experience within our life. It could be easy to say good self-concept, good life. Bad self-concept, basically bad life. Because what our mind, you could say the brain, seeks to do is keep our life in harmony or balance. And when I say brain, I really do mean mind. Because I'm talking about, of course, the brain, the reasoning functions, our cognition, but also our emotions and our spiritual dimension. That's what I mean when I say mind, reflecting a deeper and more quantitative form of what we call self. So self concept has a big deal with your life, who you think you happen to be. So over the course of this video, we're going to be unpacking the concept of relating to yourself positively, seeing yourself as a good person. So hatred is the next thing we're going to break down. What is hatred? I mean, frankly, we probably could have gotten a definition for this before, but let's just Google it now. Some say hatred and love are opposites. So it's a noun, intense animosity, hostility. And this is taking issue with yourself, frankly. Strong aversion, intense dislike, an affection of the mind awakened by something regarded as evil. So this video is about learning to stop taking issue with ourselves and to accept ourselves. Really, the key is self-acceptance. If you wanted a button to push, a target to aim for, it is self-acceptance, which will give a lot of other gifts like self-esteem. So I wish everyone listening this abundant self-esteem and self-acceptance. So what I really want to articulate about the concept of hate before we go any further into identifying self-hatred and seeing how it originates is that hatred, like the American Heritage Dictionary says, is intense dislike. Hatred, as well as love, these exist on a continuum. They don't really exist in the binary. And I'm going to unpack that idea for us because it's important for our work today. That hatred and love could be seen as two sides of the same coin or maybe opposite sides of a spectrum. But make note that the spectrum exists. So we all know it's important to love ourselves, but just consider that it may not be necessarily a question of if a person loves themselves or not. It may be a question of how much they love themselves. That's what I mean when I say continuum, not a binary. Maybe percentage levels would be great to think about. And this is what I mean when I say self hatred can take on so many forms that are really up in your face at times, but also sometimes very hard to pin down or even recognize. So that's the important thing to see, is that sometimes self hatred might not even look like an intense animosity. It might not look like an intense dislike, but what it might look like is the absence of love. It might even feel like apathy. It might look like it's neither one or the other. You understand? But it could still have detrimental effects in your life from a lack of self love and even have the resemblance of self hatred. Let me say that again. The lack of self love could have the resemblance of self hatred, even if you don't deliberately take issue with yourself, guys. So I just want you to understand that framework, that mind map, the continuum as we go through our work. So sometimes it's not about, being right in your face, like saying I ruin everything or I'm too much. I mean, but frankly, your self talk is a great reflection of your self image and who you think you are. You are the creator and the narrator of your life. So it's just so important that you do everything in your power to demonstrate love to yourself. And frankly, I think this is challenging for some if no one has really taken the time to affirm value inside of you and tell you that you are enough and you are special and you do matter. You are a good person and you are worthy of love and you are loved intensely and you are cared for and your presence in this world matters and people want you around and you're dope and you're cool to be around and you're just the dopest person. So it's great to hear it from other people, but it means the most coming from yourself. Positive affirmation is so important. And the challenge with this one, guys, is because employing affirmation as a tool takes time and repetition to get it to stick, because usually what we're not doing in our life is affirming, but we're kind of just incanting things or narrating unconsciously. And then, our mind can take the path of least resistance. We can choose whatever narrative. And frankly, like for some that kind of grow up in or come from more negative circumstances, this can lead to just a more negative self-talk and self-image. So it's just important to remember that, number one, you are the driver in the car. You have control over the thoughts that you choose. And at times, you are going to experience negative thoughts. If life is negative, the more reactive and emotional part of your brain, just doing what it's meant to do, make sense of your experience, it may come up with negative explanations for shit in your life, man. So it's like, you just got to remember that life has the meaning you give it. And sometimes life is really fucking hard, guys. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. And, you may have goals that are really high and far away from you. You may have pressures that are seeming unsurmountable. People may have expectations of you that you can't fulfill. You may even receive the message from others that you're not enough. And it can, for like justifiable reasons, be hard to love yourself at times and easy to want to hate yourself. And frankly, let's take a second to talk about love before we, start talking about self-hatred even more. Is that love exists in many different forms. Let's look up the definition of love. I think that would be so special, just for balance sake today. And this is probably going to be the American Heritage Dictionary. So noun, a strong feeling of affection and concern towards something, as arising from kinship, close friendship, strong feeling of affection or concern. And this says it could also be sexual, so like there's that to be said. Some say a feeling of a devotion or adoration towards God or a god. Charity, feeling of kindness, love, strong feeling of affection. So it's like basically the opposite or an antonym of hatred, as we can see. You can basically picture that continuum, the spectrum, as we talked about. So how do we show love? Because let me say, guys, like, this also begs the question, how do we show self-hatred? Let's talk about self-hatred. Also, a deep internal belief that you're bad, broken, fundamentally unworthy of love. it's usually in the subconscious. You might not even realize that it's running the show. It might be the self-criticism. Might be patterns of not accepting yourself or just taking issue with you, trying to fix you. This also brings up a different conversation to me intuitively. It's worth explaining displaced emotions, that we all come in this world as children and are dependent on circumstance for survival and our parents. And, even the best parents get it wrong sometimes. Some of us have gotten the short end of the stick, and displaced emotions are so important to understand because, as a kid, you have these emotional needs on top of your physical needs, the need to be loved and felt and connected to, seen, heard, etc. And, sometimes we get too much criticism. Sometimes we don't get the love. Sometimes we get a whole lot worse. But if you think about that, if there's parts of the self from our experience, emotional, I'm getting the vibe like packets of our energy that have gone through damage and haven't been able to be, released or attended to, we may kind of repeat the imprinting of our childhood and start to criticize ourselves, or show up that same energy and give ourselves the negative narrative that we deserve it because we're unworthy, because we're not loved, because we deserve hate. There's something wrong with us. Feel like there's nothing we can do to be good enough, and at the same time, when that's your pathology, you don't look for love, or maybe you do, but at the same time, generally speaking, there can be an internal aversion towards it. You may run away from love, you may push people away, you may seclude yourself, you may isolate as a form of self-hatred or a reflection of it, as an unwillingness to receive love. This could be a form of self-punishment, and these might lead into more overt forms of self-hatred, demonstrating these things physically. Because on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, self-love would look like taking care of yourself, showing that affection for yourself. Gary Chapman wrote a book about 5 love languages, which is quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, acts of service, and physical touch. So I think it's valid in this conversation to encourage you to give yourself all 5 of the love languages, demonstrate your self-love in all of those ways. Speak love and life into yourself. Spend time with yourself. Touch yourself, hug yourself, caress yourself. And I'm going to get into this even deeper at the end of the video too. But it might not be what you think. I don't know what you think. But at the end of the day, gift giving is important. And then acts of service, taking care of yourself. This could look like good habits. When you don't love yourself, when you're full of negative emotion and pain, the inertia and even the negative momentum too can really get you in the mood where you don't even want to take care of yourself. I'm gonna keep it honest with you guys. But when you do hate yourself, the best thing to do to truly get rid of it is to demonstrate it with action. Sometimes that looks like literally just brushing your teeth and washing your face, flossing, eating something, drinking some water, getting some sleep. And then it can be discipline. Having these good habits, showing up for yourself, getting exercise, eating fruit, talking to you, spending time with good people, receiving love, doing the things that you want to do. That's acts of service, taking care of yourself, going out of your way for you. And this is a really powerful thought, guys. And I just really want to drop this bomb right here, is that the crazy thing about self-image, self-love, and self-hatred is that when we don't like ourselves, we're far more unlikely to work on ourselves, which creates this downward momentum and maybe even a downward spiral. Because the more we neglect ourselves, the more we mirror ourselves back a person that's not worthy of respect, because we're not treating ourselves with respect. So this can add insult to injury, and then we double down on the self-sabotage. So I'm really here to tell you, when the self-love is really real, the self-sabotage starts to stop. So the beautiful thing about this is when you have control over your self-image and you just choose at this moment to see yourself as a good person, because you genuinely are. Like, you got to realize you can't refute it. The cool thing is when you see yourself as a good person, you're gonna want to love yourself and take care of yourself because you're a person worthy of that. And the more you take care of you, the more that you're gonna want to take care of you and love you because you're taking care of and you radiate the love and goodness. It's really just up to you to see it. And just know everybody is bigger than their mistakes. Every moment you have the willingness and opportunity to continue life and do something with your energy. All right. And sometimes, you know, if you doubt your worth, if you don't see a reason to love yourself, if your beingness in existence isn't reason enough, go out of your way to help somebody. That's literally one of the easiest ways to feel better. I'm telling you, you don't have to do anything crazy. Even just smile at a cashier, fam. I'm telling you, just do something for somebody and you will freaking see. You're dope. And frankly, I hope that you can see it without having to go out of your way for other people. But just realize, fam, you deserve all the love in the freaking world. And I know the world is like a mirroring thing. I'm talking to me as well as you because this is catharsis for me. Self hatred is something I've struggled with, man, because without even getting into stories from my past, I'll just tell you I lacked a lot of love and reassurance within my childhood. I spent a lot of time by myself. I had time and energy and space to be able to create negative narratives and blame myself for all types of things, fam. Like my parents' divorce, even. I felt like I was the cause of, all my family's stress and discontent and our financial issues. I felt like a burden as a kid, because we were poor as well. And I just felt like I was always getting in the way. And, my parents never had time for me. And I just figured I was just not worthy of love. And I just got in everyone's way, man. So it's like I learned to hate myself at a very young age for a long time. And I have other extracurricular traumas that really also complicated my life and my self image. But, nobody is bound to the past. And that's the beautiful thing, man. You know, like I'm sharing with you guys, just to follow this on a more linear thought, we know what self-hatred is, and we basically know where it comes from. It's basically childhood wounds for a lot of us. It could be cultural messages, it could be, traumas we can't process. There could be religious connotations to it. It could be social dynamics, It could be getting a negative example from other people. There's a lot of ways we can learn self-hatred. There's one school of thought that says that self-hatred really is not natural and that love is our natural state of being. And I'll let you think about that. And that's saying that self-hatred is learned. So we can unlearn this. And then it also begs to ask us, where did we learn this? Where did it come from? But at the same time, it's worth knowing that it's not always overt and in your face. So let's talk about how to tell if you're carrying it. I mean, frankly, if you resonate with this video at this point, chances are you're on some point of this continuum and you're pushing towards more self-love. So I think the best way to really grade yourself on this rubric is to look at those 5 love languages and then look at the dimension of life being health, wealth, love, and happiness. First of all, how much do you allow yourself those 4 things? Health, wealth, love, and happiness. And then are you going out of your way to do those acts of service? To give yourself gifts, to touch yourself, to speak to yourself positively, and to give yourself quality time with yourself. Do you do that for yourself? Do you have good habits? Do you self-sabotage? That's really about demonstrating the self-love. So watch your self-talk, man. Also, if you feel this reoccurring need to prove your worth, that may be insecurity, and that could have its merit and value. But also consider that needing to prove your worth constantly may be a form of lacking self-acceptance. So that's one of those ones that it may not be so much like in your face, aggressive hatred, but it may be more of a lack of love. So understand that too, man. If you don't validate yourself through your effort, you may be withholding from yourself, okay? Also, you could consider, do you panic? Do you get scared when people try to get close to you? Or when things are going good in your life? When you're succeeding? Like, how do you deal with praise also is another thing to consider. Do you let people compliment you? Do you brush it aside? Do you try to return compliments instead of receive them? I mean, another thing to think about when it talks about self-hatred, self-love, like what's your relationship with food? Do you eat regularly? Do you eat enough food? Regular is a weird word. Do you undereat? Do you overeat? Do you like to eat? Do you hate it? Do you recognize eating is necessary? Do you recognize that eating is also a way that you can nourish yourself? Do you know eating is also feeding yourself? Do you know eating is loving yourself? Do you know you can enjoy food? Did you know that it's good to enjoy yourself? What's your relationship with pleasure, too? I'm not going to say I have all the answers, guys, but at this point, now that we've basically identified that self hatred is essentially a lack of self acceptance, I can kind of walk you through these questions and pop the lid on parts of your mind, and you can focus on accepting certain parts of you. What's your relationship with pleasure like for real? Can you please yourself without shame and guilt? Do you feel entitled to serve other people? Do you feel obligated to serve other people? Do you feel like you have to put other people's needs above your own? Do you feel like you can go first? Can you love yourself without reservation? Can you show others that you love yourself? Ooh, my heart is so tender asking you these questions, gang. Oh my goodness, I know this video is gonna hit somebody. Ooh, oh Lord, why is it spicy? Ooh, shit, man. How do you feel about your body? Oh fuck, man. Ow. Oh, you gotta take a deep breath. Whew. Oh Lord. Okay, this video is gonna be good. Okay. Do you recognize that you're beautiful? Okay. Whew. Okay, so how will we overcome self-hatred? Overcoming and undoing self-hatred. That's the whole video. So let's talk about this framework that I have for you guys. Number one, practice awareness. Pay attention. Just monitor your life and look through that continuum. Start to question, could you love yourself more in a certain situation? Do you need to step it up? Is self-acceptance something that you can bring into your daily present moment? So you can name the voice too. Some people like to do this because the self is multidimensional. There's so many ways you can perceive yourself, even if you just wanted to look at thought and feeling and physical embodiment. There's so many ways to look at yourself. So your inner voices can get named. And some people find it helpful to name their criticism. And they might call it the judge or the super ego or the shadow or, evil Billy or whatever. But, you can just recognize at times that, you may have a certain voice and there may be a certain reason for it. When you do this inner work, sometimes you can actually understand where that voice is coming from, especially if it was something like a childhood experience or a negative adult experience or something you learn along the way. So we're practicing radical self-acceptance and self-compassion. And frankly, another marker I think that stands out really well is, do you talk to yourself how you talk to other people? Would you allow other people to talk to you the way that you talk to yourself? And if the answer is no, that usually reflects that you need to adjust the way that you talk to yourself and bring more self-love and acceptance into the way that you talk to yourself. And frankly, it's fun, guys. I'm telling you, because you are the creator of this world. You co-create with this universe, and life really does unfold according to your words and perception and taking time to really just talk to yourself, guys. This is one of the best ways to really level up your self-love. So I want you to say right now, I love myself. I don't even care if there's people around you. Just say it. I love myself. Say it with me. I love myself. And you love you too. So say it with me. I love myself. I love myself so much. I'm easy to love. Loving me is fun. Loving me is free. So I'm going to do it all the time. Type shit. It's great. It's super great. And just take your time. Practice self-love. I really think it's something we practice. Okay. So just know the body keeps the score too. So I want to show you another way that you can embrace yourself, because I think you guys get the picture, man. Show up. Take time to connect with you. Go work out too. Get some exercise. Do things for your health. That's one of the best ways to love yourself. But the body usually keeps the score. It carries emotion. It's a reflection of our emotional and mental states. So you'll see when people are very depressed, if you've ever been depressed, you usually are going to slouch a lot, and you may be lethargic, and it may be kind of hard to carry the weight of your world, frankly, just how it is. So sometimes it's really worth taking the time to open up your body, stretch a little bit, do a little bit of yoga, and work on your posture. Because this goes right into self respect, self love. You know, when you increase your value to yourself, so many things in your life are going to change. And one thing that will absolutely change is you're going to carry yourself with a little bit more concern. You're not going to, it's like, imagine you had like $1,000 vase in your hands, a really nice, expensive, beautiful crystal vase. It's so cool. And it's a family heirloom. Are you going to just like hold that really loose and just hold it to the side? Like, fam, you're going to like hold yourself like an expensive vase you're not trying to break. You feel me? Because you are more beautiful than that, frankly. You know, stuff can be replaced. You can't be replaced. Straight up. So I could really make this a whole series, frankly, but I just want to say that the body, the chakras, the energy body. If you put one hand on your heart chakra and one hand on your sacral chakra, and you incorporate this posture into your meditations and you practice this for at least 5 minutes, for some, the effect will come so much faster than that. But putting energy from the palms into the heart, which is our center for love and connection, and then the sacral, which is our center of emotion and feeling, fam, I'm telling you, when you just put both hands on each of those chakras at the same time and just take your time to just sit with self, breathe, meditate, let yourself have that self love. You're going to feel so much healing, so much catharsis, so much release, all that pain, all that bullshit, all that sorrow that you've had to carry. It's just going to come out. It's just going to be let go of. You don't need to hold it. So I'm telling you guys, like, your body will tell you what it needs to do, whether it needs to move in one way or another. But as far as unearthing, because like I said, this video is about undoing. And the one question among so many others is, how much do you have to undo? What are we really undoing? And what's the ramifications of that? That answer is going to be different for everybody, but especially for those that have had an especially traumatic past or have had weird extracurricular reasons that they hate themselves. Purging this from the emotional body may take some time, but seriously and simply, one of the best ways you can work on this is by meditating with your palms on those two chakras, the heart and the sacral. Generally speaking, most trauma is stored in the root chakra, though. Okay, it can be anywhere in the body, but generally speaking, most is stored in the root. So while you will want to incorporate that gesture into your meditations, you are going to want to stretch the hips, guys, and stretch your legs and your hamstrings and do a lot of cat and cow pose, a lot of upward and downward dog, cobra pose, and probably heart openers and all types of yoga. Like, just start to study that and get into it. And walking is also a really great way to balance the root chakra. Walking anywhere, frankly, just moving the legs will do that. But if you can also earth, be barefoot, that's cool too on the earth. But just walking and stretching, so good for you guys, so good for all of us, and that's going to help us move through the root. But take time to connect with that heart, okay? EFT tapping, you can sometimes just put pressure on certain parts of your body. Massage therapy could be another good way to release some of the tension from the muscles and the nerves too. But yoga is a free way to do that too. So I definitely recommend you get into yoga. You can do that in bed too. Reconnecting with your inner child. This is super important. Loving the person you were back then, as well as loving the person you are now, can really take you super far in full participation within your life, okay? Strongly recommend that in addition to considering your self concept, that you also consider the concept of your past self, the person that you thought you were when you were that age. Because you were a person still. I know you live right now, but it's like, just think about how you are the continuation of the past. So it's like, you could even say that there's a self image for every second, right? So you have like billions of self images over the course of your life. And by being able to, within the present moment, have some awareness slash, or I should say, awareness plus compassion for those older versions of yourself, that can be emotionally liberating. That can be very cathartic. considering reconnecting with the inner child. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it at that because as a concept, as just a seed, I feel like I could plant that in your mind pretty deep and pretty broad. So, ecstatic body postures, that's another thing that you need to consider in this journey. And I think that is mostly the itinerary today, guys. I'm just looking at my notes and they give me some structure. I deviate from it a little bit, but my call to action is that you need to love yourself. I challenge you to love yourself as much as you possibly can and demonstrate this in multiple different ways and know that you are worthy of love because I said so, just because. And if you're not convinced yet, I want you to think about somebody else than yourself. Think about the world. Think about that we are all one, we are all connected. And if you will not love yourself for you, love yourself for me. Love yourself for everybody. Love yourself for the world because your energy affects everybody's energy. And a lot of times we don't look at it this deep, and it's not always necessary to consider that, frankly. But that's the cool thing about this, guys, is that when you love yourself, it may be direct or it might be indirect, but the truth of the matter is, loving yourself is going to help you love the world. And frankly, it is loving the world, it is loving everybody. Loving yourself becomes the gift you give to the world. So, beyond you being absolutely and ultimately worthy of unconditional love, self love, and self acceptance, that is the most beautiful gift you could ever give to anybody else, ever. And I think that's a reflection of your beauty, the fact that you can do that. So, that should be encouragement enough. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments if it does, if you found anything helpful, if you have any questions, any other videos that you'd like to see, let me know as well, because I've just been going through my life and I feel like this topic kind of just like landed on my lap as far as a call to action from me to speak about this, to bring this energy forth to the world, because ultimately, self love is the goal. Self love is the best thing we can experience. And I think sometimes you have to be able to kind of flip the script and know what the enemy is, what thing you have to basically avoid slash learn to work with or mitigate against. Okay. So self love, self acceptance. I love you guys. Love yourself. And that inadvertently means we're loving each other. So it's all love, guys. Peace.